Why is it that when you give people your time, your energy, your presence, they take it for granted, yet the moment you step back, suddenly you are the only thing they can think about? Today, we will solve this problem by uncovering one of Machiavelli's most ruthless truths. When you become scarce, they become obsessed. Scarcity creates power. This is not merely a clever phrase. It is a law that governs human nature as surely as gravity governs the earth. When something is rare, its value multiplies. When something is everywhere, it is invisible. You, my listener, must understand that your presence, your attention, your very existence in the lives of others follows the same law. If you make yourself constantly available, you are like water pouring endlessly into the ocean, taken for granted, unnoticed, and wasted. But if you ration yourself, if you step back and become scarce, you transform from a common stream into a rare fountain that everyone longs to drink from. Consider the metals of this world. Iron is useful, but it is abundant, and so it is cheap. Gold, on the other hand, is scarce, and because of its rarity, men have killed, conquered, and built empires in its pursuit. Gold does not need to beg for attention. Its scarcity alone creates an aura of power. The same truth applies to human beings. The more you pour yourself into others' lives, the less they regard you. The less they see you, the more they desire you. Scarcity is not only a trick of economics, it is a weapon of psychology. Imagine a man who constantly showers affection on another. His words of praise, his acts of kindness, his attention, offered day after day without pause. At first, they are received with gratitude, but over time they become expected, ordinary, dull. The recipient no longer feels wonder, no longer feels appreciation. Instead, they begin to feel entitlement. The kindness is no longer a gift, but a burden that loses all weight. Now imagine the opposite. A man who gives nothing easily. His attention is rare, his words measured, his presence fleeting. When he does choose to speak, every word lands like thunder. When he appears, people straighten their posture, they pay attention, they hunger for his approval. His very scarcity makes his presence a prize. This is the psychology of power. This is why scarcity creates desire. Think of kings and rulers of old. They were not seen by their people every day. The common man might live his entire life without laying eyes upon the sovereign, and yet, that absence did not weaken their authority, it multiplied it. The fewer times they appeared, the more godlike they became in the imagination of the masses. When the king did step into public view, the people did not see a man. They saw a vision, a myth, a living symbol. That power was not born from constant exposure. It was born from scarcity. You must adopt the same strategy in your own life, in relationships, in friendships, in business. Guard your presence like a treasure. Do not hand it out like trinkets at a market stall. Every moment you give must feel deliberate, chosen, precious. When you walk into a room, it should mean something. When you speak, it should carry weight. If you are always there, always talking, always seeking attention, then you are as common as the air, and no one respects the air they breathe. But if you withhold yourself, if you choose your moments with care, then people begin to sense your worth. They wait for you, they miss you, they crave what you have made scarce. Scarcity also reshapes the balance of power in your favor. The one who is always available is never in control. They respond to the call of others like a servant summoned at will. But the one who is scarce dictates the terms of engagement. People must adapt to your schedule, your decisions, your timing. They grow anxious, uncertain, even desperate. They begin to wonder, when will he appear? What will he say? Does he even think of me? This uncertainty is the seed of obsession, and it grows strongest in the soil of scarcity. Think of the games played in matters of love. The lover who is constantly present, constantly giving, is smothered, taken for granted, and eventually cast aside. But the lover who withholds, who vanishes for days, who returns only when he wishes, becomes the center of attention. The heart cannot resist what it cannot predict, and nothing is more unpredictable than someone who knows how to make themselves scarce. Desire thrives not on certainty, but on distance, on imagination, on scarcity. Scarcity also compels respect. A leader who floods the world with his opinions loses all authority. His words become noise. But a leader who rarely speaks, who remains silent until the perfect moment, creates anticipation. When he finally opens his mouth, people lean forward. They hang on every word, because silence has made his voice rare, and rarity has made it valuable. Understand this: the world is overflowing with abundance. Everyone is shouting, posting, showing, giving without restraint. It is a marketplace of attention, and in that marketplace, the common man is ignored. But the one who withholds, who refuses to give everything away, who makes his presence scarce, cuts through the noise. Scarcity, in a world drowning in abundance, becomes the ultimate form of power. Abundance breeds contempt. This law is as old as civilization itself, and yet it is forgotten by those who believe that generosity and constant presence will secure them love, loyalty, and respect. But the truth, the Machiavellian truth, is far more ruthless. What is always available soon loses its shine. What is always seen becomes invisible. What is always given is no longer cherished, but expected, even despised. Look carefully at human nature, and you will see this pattern everywhere. The more you hand yourself over to others, your time, your words, your attention, the more they cease to value it. What was once a gift becomes ordinary. What was once a rare delight becomes a daily routine. And once something becomes routine, it no longer inspires gratitude. It no longer provokes awe. It invites boredom. Consider the monarch who foolishly seeks to please his people by walking among them every day. At first, the masses marvel at his accessibility. They cheer, they praise his kindness, they adore his presence. But over time, the marvel fades. The people begin to notice his imperfections, his weaknesses, his flaws. They laugh at the way he speaks. They whisper about his habits. They criticize his choices. He becomes too familiar, and with familiarity comes not respect, but contempt. The king who is always available ceases to be a king. He becomes an equal, and equals are not feared, they are not worshipped, they are not obeyed. Now contrast this with the ruler who withdraws, who appears only on rare and calculated occasions. His people might wait weeks, months, even years to hear his words or see his face. And when he finally steps into the light, he is not seen as a man. He is seen as a legend. The very scarcity of his presence multiplies his power. His absence creates longing, and his rare appearance creates reverence. This principle applies not only to rulers, but to you, to every relationship you hold. In love, when you flood another with constant attention, when you are always available, always responding, always present, you smother the spark of desire. At first, they may welcome it, but soon they begin to expect it, and what is expected is no longer special. It becomes the air they breathe, necessary, but unnoticed. And when something becomes unnoticed, it begins to suffocate. But when you restrain yourself, when you make your affection measured and deliberate, you awaken longing. The less they see you, the more they think of you. The less you give, the more they desire. Abundance kills passion, but scarcity keeps it alive. Those who believe that constant giving proves love misunderstand the human heart. It is not the one who gives endlessly who is desired. It is the one who withholds, who makes himself precious, who allows desire to grow in absence. The same is true in business and power. Imagine a speaker who talks endlessly, day after day, filling every silence with words. Soon his voice becomes background noise. His opinions lose all meaning, and people stop listening. But imagine a leader who rarely speaks, who waits, who remains silent until the exact right moment. When he finally opens his mouth, every head turns, every ear sharpens, because scarcity has made his words valuable. The more abundant the speech, the less powerful it is. The rarer the speech, the more commanding it becomes. Look also at material possessions. When people are showered with wealth they did not earn, they do not treasure it. They squander it, they grow careless, they complain. Yet when they labor and struggle for years to attain a single reward, they guard it with their life. Abundance strips value away, scarcity restores it. You must understand this cruel truth. When you give too much, you teach others to disrespect you. Not because they are evil, not because they are ungrateful, but because human nature is wired to despise abundance. What is plentiful loses all worth. What is rare becomes priceless. And so, the one who knows how to limit himself, the one who carefully rations his time, his presence, his attention, becomes powerful in the eyes of others. If you constantly message, constantly call, constantly show up for someone, they grow weary of you. They may not admit it aloud, but inside they feel smothered, annoyed, burdened. They begin to long for distance, for freedom from your abundance. But if you withhold, if you give sparingly, if you appear only when you choose, they will never have enough of you. They will replay your last conversation in their mind. They will watch for your next message. They will crave what you refuse to flood them with. This is why those who chase endlessly, those who overextend, those who give without limit, always lose power. And this is why those who retreat, those who make themselves rare, those who hold back, are pursued, respected, and even obsessed over. Distance sharpens obsession. The human mind is a restless machine, always hungering, always imagining, always inventing stories to fill the void of uncertainty. When you are absent, when you remove yourself, when you deliberately create distance, you are no longer merely a person in their lives. You become a mystery, a puzzle, an unsolved riddle that haunts their thoughts. Presence satisfies curiosity, absence feeds it. When you are constantly near, people feel they know you too well. They believe they have you figured out, and what is known soon grows dull. There is no mystery in what is always seen. But when you step away, when you vanish for a time, you give others the most dangerous gift of all, space for their imagination to work. And imagination is far more powerful than reality. Think of the lover who disappears for days without explanation. Their absence is not emptiness, it is fire. The other begins to wonder, where are they? Who are they with? What are they thinking? In this silence, in this vacuum, obsession is born. Every detail is magnified. The last word you spoke, the last glance you gave, the last touch you offered becomes something to replay, to analyze, to cling to. The more distance you create, the more their mind labors to bring you closer in fantasy. History itself confirms this law. Consider the conqueror who retreats, who withholds his armies from battle. The enemy grows restless, paranoid, consumed with imagining what plans are being devised. Fear multiplies not on the battlefield, but in the long stretches of silence where nothing happens. The imagination of men always paints the absent enemy as more powerful, more dangerous, more cunning than reality. The unseen is always greater than the seen. In politics, the same principle holds true. A leader who is constantly visible is scrutinized, criticized, stripped of mystery. But the leader who governs from the shadows, who allows distance to surround him, inspires endless speculation. His supporters believe him greater than he is. His enemies fear him more than they should. Distance creates a myth, and myth is always stronger than fact. The truth is that absence does not make people forget you. It engraves you deeper into their thoughts. When you are absent, you force people to chase you in their own minds. They fill in the blanks with fantasies. They attribute qualities to you that you may not even possess, simply because distance has given them no evidence to the contrary. You become not just who you are, but who they imagine you to be, and imagination is limitless. This is why the performer who rarely appears, the artist who releases work sparingly, the thinker who speaks only on occasion, all command more fascination than the one who floods the world with constant noise. The more distance there is between appearances, the sharper the desire becomes. Hunger grows when it is denied food. Desire grows when it is denied presence. In matters of love, this law is ruthless. Lovers who are always together may feel safe, but safety breeds complacency. They take each other for granted. They lose the edge of longing. But the lovers who are often apart, who allow distance to stretch the bond, experience a sharper flame. Every reunion feels like an event, every meeting like a celebration, every touch charged with the power of scarcity and absence. Distance does not kill love, it refines it, heightens it, transforms it into obsession. Think also of power in friendships and alliances. The friend who is always at your side loses novelty. His constant presence makes him ordinary, but the friend who withdraws, who appears only on occasion, is treated with more respect, more care, more attention. His absence creates an aura of independence, of self-sufficiency. Others are drawn to him precisely because he does not make himself constantly available. Distance becomes the invisible thread that pulls others closer. Even in warfare, generals have long used this truth as a weapon. A sudden retreat, a deliberate disappearance, causes the enemy to obsess over your movements, to grow restless, to second-guess their strategies. By the time you reappear, their minds are already conquered. You have owned them not with weapons, but with absence. You must understand this. People are rarely obsessed with what they fully possess. Obsession feeds on denial, on distance, on what cannot be easily touched. The further you step away, the stronger the pull becomes. Like the moon tugging at the tides, your absence exerts a gravitational force, invisible but irresistible. And the more space you create, the stronger their obsession grows. This is why those who chase endlessly, those who crowd others with their presence, are rarely desired. They are too easy to grasp, too simple to understand, too common to be worshipped. But the one who withdraws, who knows how to wield distance like a blade, who lets others yearn, imagine, and crave in the emptiness, this one becomes unforgettable. Control through withdrawal. This is the highest form of power, for it is not found in chasing, not in clinging, not in constant pursuit, but in the calculated act of stepping back. To withdraw at the moment they expect you most, to retreat when they are reaching for you, to vanish when they believe they have you. This is to tighten your grip over their mind without ever laying a hand upon them. Most people believe control is gained through pressure, through force, through persistence. They push harder, they give more, they chase relentlessly, imagining that by flooding others with attention they can secure loyalty, affection, or respect. But such actions only weaken them. The one who constantly gives has no leverage. The one who chases has already surrendered power. To control, you must do the opposite. You must withdraw, and in doing so, you turn absence into a leash that binds them tighter than presence ever could. Withdrawal is a strategy as old as war itself. The great generals understood that sometimes retreat is more powerful than attack. An army that vanishes from the battlefield creates uncertainty, confusion, and fear in the enemy. The silence before the storm is often more terrifying than the storm itself. In the same way, your deliberate withdrawal unsettles those around you. They cannot predict you, they cannot command you, they cannot depend on your constant presence. And so they become addicted to the little you allow them. This principle is ruthless in matters of the heart. When you step back at the height of another's craving, you do not weaken the bond, you fortify it. They become restless, hungry, tormented by questions. Why did you leave? When will you return? Was my affection not enough? Their mind begins to turn against itself, and in that inner turmoil, obsession takes root. The absence becomes unbearable, and yet it is you who controls the terms. You dictate the rhythm of closeness and distance, appearance and disappearance, affection and silence. They are trapped, not by chains, but by their own desire for what you withhold. Withdrawal creates dependency. Consider the advisor who always gives counsel freely, day after day. His words soon lose their weight. But the advisor who speaks rarely, who withdraws until he is asked, who withholds his wisdom until it is desperately needed, this man controls kings. His silence makes others depend on him. His withdrawal ensures that when he finally speaks, his words carry the power to move armies. The same is true for you. By withdrawing, you condition others to crave your presence, your approval, your attention, until they cannot function without it. Notice how the world reacts to scarcity. A resource that is always available is consumed carelessly. A resource that is scarce is hoarded, fought over, worshipped. Your presence follows the same law. If you are always there, they treat you as common. But if you step away, if you ration yourself, you become a prize. They begin to compete for your attention, to work for your recognition, to bend themselves to win back what you have withheld. This is the subtle cruelty of control through withdrawal. They believe they are pursuing you, but in truth, you are leading them exactly where you wish. Withdrawal also commands respect. When you deny people instant access, when you force them to wait, you signal that your time is not cheap, that your presence is not for everyone, that your energy is not endless. You set the standard. Those who wish to have a piece of you must rise to meet it. And in the very act of waiting, of yearning, of chasing, they elevate you higher in their own minds. The more you retreat, the more they advance toward you. The more you deny, the more they demand. The more you disappear, the more unforgettable you become. This is why the most powerful men and women of history mastered the art of withdrawal. The ruler who refused constant audiences, the general who concealed his movements, the lover who withheld affection until the perfect moment, all bent others to their will. The absence created a hunger that presence alone could never satisfy. And when they finally chose to reappear, they did so not as equals, but as figures of immense power because others had been trained to crave their return. To withdraw is not weakness, it is strategy. It is the art of controlling not by force, but by restraint. When you retreat, you make them advance. When you vanish, you make them search. When you withhold, you make them beg. Control does not lie in abundance. It lies in knowing precisely when to disappear and how long to stay gone until they can think of nothing but your return. You have now seen the hidden order of human desire. Scarcity creates power. Abundance breeds contempt. Distance sharpens obsession. And control is mastered not by pursuit, but by withdrawal. These are not theories. They are laws. Laws written not in books, but in the nature of mankind itself. The world bows not to those who give themselves freely, but to those who know how to deny. The masses chase what they cannot have. They worship what they rarely see. They are haunted by what withdraws from their reach. If you wish to be remembered, do not flood others with your presence. Vanish. If you wish to be desired, do not give endlessly. Ration yourself. If you wish to be obeyed, do not chase. Retreat. For it is absence, not presence, that commands the human heart. The truth is cold, yet undeniable. Men love what escapes them, they despise what clings to them, and they are obsessed with what they cannot control. Learn to wield this, and you will no longer beg for attention, loyalty, or respect. You will command it, and when you return, you will not be welcomed as ordinary. You will be received as something rare, irreplaceable, and beyond their grasp.